Hi everyone, good morning. I hope everyone is well. So today we'll have a special time to acquire knowledge in other sign languages. We're going to just introduce our group. Libraslex is a group dedicated to the study, research, and production of Libras and other sign language dictionaries. um, our uh, our aim is to generate knowledge and contribute to the development of this area, in addition to raising awareness in society about the importance of sign languages. The group also seeks to promote the development and recognition of Libras lexicography, encourage dialogue and collaboration between interested researchers and professionals. These actions aim to strengthen the field of study and create quality resources for the deaf community and society in general. The sign language lexicography research workshop that we're having here on this live today is part of a project that aims to boost research and production in the area of sign language lexicography, both in Brazil and in other countries. So it includes activities such as conversation circles, live broadcasts, and lectures with experts in this field. The project also seeks to promote collaboration between researchers and institutions, encouraging the participation of interested students and professionals. The goal is to contribute the advancement of knowledge and appreciation of sign languages in contemporary society. I would like to clarify that it is a special moment, and I wanted to thank you for promoting this group, which articulates the work between deaf people, hearing people, PhD students, and doctors. I would also like to thank the partnerships that contribute to support Libraslex. It is important that you know that you are a bridge and a union that makes a big difference because we cannot do it alone. We are partnership with some universities such as UniOeste, UFSC, UFSCar, URGS, IPSC, University of Hamburg, and the interpreters of Libras and International Signs. Now I'm going to introduce some of participants of Libraslex, and I hope you have a good lecture. I'll call out Dr. Leona, who is going to be introduce our speaker today. Leona says, "Hi everyone." Mariani says, "Hi everyone." So Leona is going to start. So, good afternoon here in Germany. It's afternoon already. It's 2 in the afternoon. I know that in Brazil, you're still in the morning. So, good morning, everyone in Brazil. I'm going to be um, introducing our speaker. I'm part of the group Libraslex. My sign name is like this. My name is Leona Paulus. I work here at the University of Hamburg, and we don't have a sign name for the University of Hamburg itself, but we just do University of Hamburg, literally. I mean, I work as a researcher at the course that we have here, the program. It's called um, German Sign Language and Literature program that we have here. Um, and we also are interested in different sign languages and the part of translation and interpreting. I would like to introduce the researcher that we're going to be hosting today. her name is Gabrielle, and that's her sign name. She's been researching for years here at the university with some colleagues, some students, um, and she has done some interesting work for years up to now. In we're in a grouping of 193 students. Yep. And she has graduated in 2003 with research in the area of lexicography and sign language, specialized in the health um, environment. So we are especially interested in how corpus studies may produce the creation of dictionaries, and she has worked on it on transforming DGS, I mean German Sign Language, into corpus into a German Sign Language dictionary. We've been working on it together. So I would like to call the researcher Gabriel to be here with us in the room. Mariani says, yeah, just before she begins her presentation, I would like to say that Professor Leona and I, we are really happy to be studying, researching together in a postdoctorate uh, program. With Annika Herman. We've have realized that here on this program we have many opportunities to work with dictionaries, with lexicography. So we're looking forward to showing some of it to Brazil, and we're looking forward to sharing some experiences working with different corpora, and hopefully we're going to to bridge some of this work that we've done here with the work that we're aiming to do in Brazil. So I'm really excited to have this opportunity, and maybe we're going to have more people getting into it, interested, and we are looking forward to have you here working with us on this subject. Gabrielle is going to be speaking for about 45 minutes, and then in the end, we're going to have the opportunity to make questions if you have any doubts, if you have any questions that you want to ask. Okay, Gabrielle, be welcome.
Hi, thank you for inviting me, and good morning to you in Brazil. And I think you have it much warmer than I do here in Germany. It's pretty cold. So I'm glad that you invited me to a warm place. Okay, let me start. I give you a short outline, some background on the team, on the project, and on me. And then we have two major parts. So I will talk about the DGS corpus. DGS is the shortcut for German Sign Language. I'll talk shortly about corpus design, the data collection, the annotation, and the public corpus, so the publication of part of the corpus we collected. In the second part, I will introduce the dictionary to you that we made. It's called DWDGS for Digital Wörterbuch Dictionary of DGS. So I will just refer to it as the dictionary, so we don't have to worry about shortcuts or anything. I will talk a little bit about the content, what is in there, the structures, and then at the end I discuss some lexicographic issues, and I picked two topics that you probably will be interested in. That is lemma sign establishment, so what goes into one entry and how to decide that, and then word sense discrimination, how to find out which senses a sign has. My background, I studied German Sign Language and English. And then I worked in parallel and later on at the Institute to make dictionaries of technical terms in a group that did the dictionary work. So LSP dictionaries for DGS at various areas. And since 2009, I'm in the corpus project from the very beginning, and was involved with the design of the corpus, with organizing the data collection and the annotation. And in the last years, I have been doing the dictionary work with a team of other people. So this is the team as it is right now. We just became a little bit smaller. We were 15 people. Now we are 9. We will get another one. All people sign. Not all people are deaf, obviously. And we have a lot of student assistants also. So what I present here is not only part of my work, but I really present the work of the team. So this all is happening in the framework of the DGS Corpus project, which is a long-term project of 15 years, which just kind of ran out of time in 2023. It was supposed to end, but we got an extension of the grant for 4 more years. So what I'm talking about now is the project up to now. And this year we will start another data collection for another age group. The project is located at the University of Hamburg, and we have 3 major aims in that project. So we we have collected a corpus of DGS for research, a research corpus, but also published part of it, 50 hours, as a public corpus available to everyone. Everybody can look at it and use it. And the corpus is the basis for the dictionary that we made. And that was also one of the aims of collecting the corpus, to have a corpus to be able to make a dictionary. And the third point is that it's really important to us that we have the language community involved at every stage of the project. So we have colleagues that are deaf, we have participants, we had a deaf focus group. So many deaf people are involved in that work. Yeah. So the first thing, because I'm here as a lexicographer, I want to give you some framework for the lexicography part. We are working descriptively. We are looking at the contemporary language of DGS, not anything historical or just the way it is used. And we are convinced that use and context is the thing to look at. So the typical recurring meanings and structures of the language that we find in the data. Of course, if you look at spoken language lexicography, there's a gold standard that you work corpus-based if you make a dictionary. And we really wanted to try that out for sign language too. So the corpus, of course, is only as good as the language users you have in the corpus. So you have to have a big variety of signers. Usually different text types, or in our case, different situations of language use. And we also wanted to record just everyday language and not any special expert language for any special field. So no technical terms aimed at. And of course, in lexicography, you always also have not only the descriptive, more scientific part, but also editorial aspects when you make a dictionary. You probably all know that. So first, to make a dictionary, you need a corpus. So we start with the corpus part of the project, the corpus design. So it was intended to be a reference corpus for linguistic research, and also intentionally the basis for the dictionary work. So in the corpus design, we already had some parts in it where we tried to collect signs from all different subject areas. And it was important to us that the corpus not only is a source for language, but it also will contain, or does contain, many deaf-related cultural contents, like deaf history, deaf life stories, different things like that. And one of the ideas was that we have two participants talking to each other. And we wanted to collect different kinds of language styles and language modes, so to speak. So we have parts that are more monologue, parts that are more dialogue. We have narrations, conversations, descriptions, discussions, imagining together about something, planning something, and a variety of topics. So that was the things that we were looking for. So the first, if you want a corpus of sign language, you need participants that are willing to give their language to the camera and be recorded. And so we were looking for 330 people to record. And how did we do that? Well, we had about 10 or a little bit more than 10 deaf contact persons that from all over Germany that are rooted in their community, and they kind of recruited the people for us with advertising events. They used their network. We had some questionnaires. And we were looking for people that are fluent in DGS, where DGS is their main means of communication. They had to be rooted in the deaf community and also rooted in the region, because we also wanted to collect the different varieties, regional varieties, variants of the language. So we try to have from all areas people. And we looked for early language acquisition, and there were some other additional requirements, like we balanced for age groups, for gender, and we tried to have not too many deaf experts, in the sense that teachers of DGS or artists, because they have a special kind of using the language, and they're more aware of how they use the language. So we try to keep this group only to 20%. So the data collection took place on 12 studio sites. So we had a mobile studio that went to all these different sites. And we divided up Germany into 13 regions. And so we had a balancing for age groups, gender, and region. And region was in relation to the population that lives there. So densely populated areas got more participants than obviously other areas. So we were looking for a really, really balanced way for these 330 participants. The aim of the data collection was to have natural as possible, spontaneous and fluent signing. And of course, if you have a lot of cameras pointed at you, how natural can your signing be? So there's always a trade-off of having good quality of data that you can use for annotation and the signing that is done. So we try to keep all the surrounding environment as relaxing, as easygoing as possible. No hearing persons present at the data collection. There were only the two participants, one deaf moderator, and there was a deaf technician in the surrounding area in an adjoining room. The participants were of the same or similar age group and came from the same region, so that they would hopefully use their regional variety of DGS. And there were 5 camera perspectives that we recorded. So this is can take a short look at the studio. This is one of the settings of the mobile studio. So we have the 2 participants and the moderator chair, and you see all the cameras pointing at the chairs. So it can be quite intimidating, but people forgot that they were sitting in front of a camera really, really fast. So we can say that what we have recorded is really, really very close to natural signing. So this is the studio in action at another side. So you see we improved over time a little bit the background. And here you have the different camera perspectives. We have had 5 camera perspectives pointing at the people. So 1 from the total, 2 from the top, and then frontal for both signers. So how do you keep people talking to each other or signing to each other for a whole day? Because data collection took place for a whole day. 7 hours with some breaks. So we had 5 hours of signing on film for each pair. Well, we had we prepared about 20 different, so to speak, tasks. Some of them are listed here. So the first was explain your own name sign, then tell a joke that you have prepared in advance, and that was the only task that they knew was coming. Everything else was spontaneous. Then we had conversation and discussions about different given topics, like tell about your school life or your experience as a deaf person in a hearing world, or just different things like that, about cultural events. Then we also had some material, some tasks that is dedicated to cross-linguistic research. So some retelling of picture stories or cartoons or movie scenes. We had some cooperative tasks, like arranging a date or a route description, or speculating together about funny signs. What could they mean? Description of an activity. And also there was one task where the moderator left the room for 20 minutes or 15 minutes, and they knew the cameras were still running and they could talk about whatever they wanted. So here you see some of the stimuli we used, just to get an impression that we had these little monitors in front of them, so we could show them some stimuli, and then we blacked it out so that they wouldn't look at the monitor anymore and talk about what they have seen. So after data collection, the result was raw data of 560 hours of film with signing on it. And it had to run through post-production. So you have to make sure that all the perspectives run at the same time, simultaneously. They had to be converted and attached to our annotation tool that is called iLex. That is a database and computer program where we can do the annotations. And then lots of the more interesting tasks, like the live narrations or events, were translated, and the translation was also entered into the database and time aligned. And then we had the annotation, and you probably all know what annotation is. So the segmentation into single sign instances and the lemmatization. So which sign does this instance, this token belong to? And this was done mainly by student assistants. We had several passes of annotation, and the first pass was then checked by deaf colleagues. And yeah. So this is what iLex looks like. I don't know. This is what iLex looks like. At the top, you see the list of types. So we have description of sign types. You see the hemnosis, and at the window below, you see the transcript. And for us, if you know Elan, in Elan, oh, I need. Sorry, my computer needs some. running out of electricity. Sorry about that. Okay. At the bottom, you see the transcript, and the time in iLex is running from top to bottom. If you know Elan, in Elan, the time is running from left to right. So just that you know. So if you transcribe in iLex, you just drag the type that you can also open as its own window. You just drag it into the segments, and then a token tag is produced. And then you can enter all other information in the annotation scheme as you want. And at the end, you have in the type entry all the tokens that you have attached to the type. So we do not work with glosses so much. So there are glosses, and we also use them for reference and to talk about things. But in the background of the program, it's just IDs, just numbers that the computer program attaches to each other. Okay, so we had 560 hours recorded. This is ready for research. Not everything is transcribed and annotated, but 50 hours of that has been annotated and also published. So everybody can use this as the so-called public DGS corpus. And it comes in 3 different portals. So there is one portal called My DGS. This is for the deaf community to use and to look at. So you have the stories and you have subtitles and all the interesting tasks talking about deaf life, deaf culture, deaf events, and so on. And it's only available in German. And then there's My DGS Annotated. This is more dedicated to researchers. So you see, you also have a transcript there. And it has all the annotations there that you can look at. And you can also download the movies and the annotations. And it is provided in German and in English. So the translations, the glosses, all the information is in German and in English there. And there's a third portal, a research portal, ANIS, that I don't introduce here because it has a specific query where you can have queries at the data. So the corpus in numbers, 330 participants, 560 hours of recorded time. Translated are 377 hours. Time aligned of those are 123 hours. So time aligned means just little pieces. Time aligned to the movie. Lemmatized are approximately 94 hours of this, and published 50. And we have about 700 types and about 11,000 subtypes. And 682,000 tokens, just to give you the size. So now we have a corpus. We can now go to the dictionary. How can we use the corpus for the dictionary? Well, all information on the signs that we have in the dictionary are deducted from the data, from the actual use that we can see in the data. So this helps us to be reliable when we talk about the signs. Then we can use the corpus for lemma sign selection. So we put the signs into the corpus that we find in the data. So you can use frequency to decide which signs are going into the dictionary. Then we use the corpus also for lemma establishment. So we look at the signs and the variants, and then how they distribute over age groups, over regions, and that also helps to decide whether it's the same sign or a variant of the same sign or a different sign. Then if you have a sign with more than one variant, you have to decide for the dictionary which will be the citation form. So you can also use the corpus to see, okay, this form appears more often, so we use this as citation form. Then the most important part, or the most important function of the corpus is for word sense discrimination, or sign sense discrimination to be correct. We can look at the tokens in context view the video and see what this sign means in this context and how it is used in this context. And we can base the senses that we give in the dictionaries, the meanings and uses, on the actual observations of behavior in context. So this is the most important for me to work corpus-based. We can also run statistics and get frequent neighbors of a specific sign. And so we can detect collocations, phrases, and loan compounds. We can find typical mouthings, see grammatical behavior, and also see the regional distribution of the signs, because we know from the metadata of the participants where they live, where they came from, and we can map this onto the, we know the tokens from these persons, and then we can see where is the sign used. And we use it in the dictionary very much for the distributional maps. You will see them in a second. And also we use the corpus to include examples for the senses that we give in the dictionary. So we don't re-record them. We just decide which part of the original movie we use as an example. And then we show that in the dictionary. That is also very unique for our dictionary. So our dictionary type, I talked about some of these points already. So we are a synchronic dictionary of general language. We are corpus-based and largely corpus-bound. That means we don't include signs that are not in the corpus, and we don't include senses that we don't find in the corpus. So we really restrain ourselves from adding things that we know are there. We only put things in there that we find that are there. So it's kind of an academic stance that we take there. We want to document the language as we find it. And we are very descriptive. We include lexical variants from all regions, and that was one of our aims. And in principle, from the focus of the work, this dictionary is monolingual. That means that we look at the signs and we describe the signs as they are, as we find them, their meaning, their forms within this one language and not in relation to German. So in focus, we are monolingual. We have some bilingual parts in the dictionary, so we give equivalents, but this is not our main focus. This is just an add-on thing. So we could talk about that our dictionary is a bilingualized monolingual dictionary. It's online, electronic, free of charge, and you can just enter it. You don't have to register or anything. It's just there for you. And it's aimed at various user groups, because there's only going to be one big dictionary like this. So we have to serve all of the user groups that might be interested in DGS. So of course, if you make a sign dictionary, you have to think about how to represent signing. What do you use? You all know we don't really have a writing system that is so widely used that we can just use it to write down signing. So all information that is given in sign is either a movie, or if you want to represent the sign on a page, for example, cross-reference, we use a micon. And that's just the thing that you see in the middle, the little figure with the number under it. That's a moving thumbnail. So if you go with the mouse, hover over it, it starts moving. So you get an impression on the sign form. And it has a number that is unique. So you can identify the sign by the number. We didn't want to use glosses, because then you have the interference of the German language to the interpretation of the sign. That we didn't want that. And then if you hover over the number, you see the signposts. This is the little box, the little gray box that you see there. That gives you some indications of the different senses of the sign, but just an indication. It's not a translation or not a definition yet. So everything that is in sign, we represent either in movie or with Micans, but we use German as meta language, as language of description for the dictionary. So menu, label, comments, and the navigational parts are all in German. And also we write the definitions in German. So the explanation of meanings and uses of a sense. It would be nice to have that in sign, but it's not practical. So that's one thing that might be there for the future to do. So what signs do we include in the dictionary? We only focus on established manual signs. We only give simplex signs their own entries, so we don't have compounds or anything in there as their own entry. We have multi-word expressions, compounds, or phrases within entries, for example, as run-ons. You will see that in a minute. So it's still work in progress. At the moment, we have 1,876 entries, but 800 of those are only preliminarily worked at. So we still have some work to do. They're already in there, over 3,000 examples from the corpus and about 6,000 German equivalents, just to give you an impression. So what does a dictionary entry contain? Well, we have information on form, the citation form and variants. We have typical mouthings that we give as form, part of the form. And then the list of senses, the different uses of the sign, the different meanings. And for each sense, we provide a signpost. So it's a quick indication to look, to indicate, is that the sense you want to look at or not? Then we have a description of the sense, the dictionary definition. We provide synonyms and antonyms if you know them. There are some German translational equivalents. We provide collocational patterns and examples from the corpus. You already heard that. We have some grammar labels, not very many, but a few. And we can give some usage things like, is the sign used more by older or younger people, or in which region is the sign is used? And we give cross-references to other signs with similar forms. So this is what is in there for one sign. So now I show you how it looks like and how the structures of the dictionary are. So this is one entry that you see here. And here you have the information on the form and the variants. You can click on the little playing button, and then into the window on the left side, you get displayed this particular form that we want to look at, or that is the variant. Then we have some commentary. There can be all kinds of information there that doesn't fit any place else. Mostly it's on form, a range of forms, or on usage, or on age-related things. Then we have some indication of frequency in the corpus. And then the main part of the entry is the signpost for the senses. So here you have a little overview over what you can expect when you open these senses. They are all collapsed. I will show you an uncollapsed, an expanded state in a minute. You can click on each of these senses, and then all the information that is addressed to that sense opens. Then we have a section where we have loan compounds. So I told you that we don't have entries for multi-sign expressions, but here is a place where we can put them. We have cross-references to related signs, and we have cross-references to similar signs. And this is similar meaning, similar in form. So this is another entry, and here I will expand the sense in a second. So this little sense, which means uncle, can be expanded to reveal all the information given to that sense. So all this, what you see, is addressed to that sense. So here we have the signpost. Then we have frequent typical mouthings. This is the dictionary definition. We have German equivalents. We have the examples taken from the corpus. I will have another slide for those in a minute. Here we have synonyms, and this uncle thing is, uncle sign is a very, is a regional sign. So we find a lot of regional groups of signs that mean the same thing, but are different lexical variants across regions. So if we have them, we can also draw these little maps where which sign is used. And we have antonyms. We have some indication of regionality, where is the sign used. And then we have subject areas. For the examples that are taken directly from the corpus, here you see the participants of the corpus directly. We have a translation of this example, and we also give, most of the time, we give some context because it's taken out of a conversation, and sometimes it's hard to understand if you don't know what's before or what's the context of this. So there's a context given, and then the example comes. And below the example too, you can see that there are red buttons there, and they point to the place in the corpus where you can find this sentence or this example within the whole conversation. So they are interlinked with the corpus. Indication of regionality, you can click on this map thing, and then a map opens. We don't give that for all signs, but only for the signs that show regionality. And here you can see where the sign is used. Darker color, more users, lighter color, less users, and gray, no users of the sign in the corpus. And we have also, I told you, there are a set of regional variants meaning the same thing. We can show them in contrast to each other. So we have another kind of maps that show all the same variant, the lexical variants of the same concept in contrast to each other. And that is one feature that deaf people really, really like. So if they see these regional maps, they really, really appreciate that. Okay, this is a different entry. And here you see a lot of mycons there. And I will blow that up a little bit. So here, synonym again, cross-references. Then we have frequent neighbors, collocations, so to speak, which are kind of summarized examples, so to speak. And we have also a section of loan compounds within a sense, if the compound can be directly matched to a sense, then we give it in the sense section of the dictionary. Now we come to the axis structure of the dictionary. We have the DGS index, which is basically a group of mycons that you can look at and click at. You can sort them by hand shape or by location. It's not very convenient to look for a specific sign form, but it's not finished yet. We hope that we will get in the future sign by example. So you sign into your camera and then the computer gives you a list of results. It's not there yet, but we are coming close. Then we have the German index. So the German translational equivalents are compiled into its own index. It's not really a second part of the dictionary. It's just an index to the sign entries. Then we have topics. So all the sign senses are also matched to topics, and you can look at certain areas like school or work or clothing, something like that. And then there is a graph that is a more playful way to explore the dictionary. Each little dot is an entry, and you can hover with a mouse over it. And the different lines show different cross-references or different connections between the signs, like if they are synonyms, antonyms, or similar in form. So different colors mean different things. So now we come to making the dictionaries. You probably all know the challenges of working in sign language with making dictionaries. So we have no established writing system. And we decided not to use a notation system or make people learn a writing system just to use the dictionary. We went for the Micans and movies. We have lots of form variation and regional variation. There's no orthography, so no standard form for any sign. We have lots of iconic signs, productive signs, and constructed action, which we will not show, which we do not show in the dictionary, except that in the example sentences they appear, and sometimes we also give comments for a sense to say this sense is often used within constructed action. And you know that signs are multi-channel signals signing. Okay, so I have to speed up a little bit. I have 10 minutes left. So lemma selection, which sign types should we put into the dictionary? Establishment of lemma signs, what gets an entry, which variants, which is the citation form. These are all issues that you have to deal with when you do sign language lexicography. Then which meaning and uses does a sign have, and how to represent signs. We already talked about this. So I want to go into one example, how we work for the establishment of lemma signs. This is, if you would do annotation, you would say it's lemmatization, but for dictionary work, it's a little bit more than that. You have to decide which set of tokens of your annotation belong to one specific lemma sign, and which data or which types of the annotation are to constitute one entry. And there are the challenges that you have to deal with, the high variation of existing form. You have lots of polysemy and also an interplay of iconicity and mouthings. So we have this one sign, German sign, like this. And it's can mean stamping something, but it also means government agency, and it also can mean visa. So we probably would all agree here that this is one sign with 3 meanings or 3 senses. And there's another sign like this. And this is used to say that something is really a habit, a really dear thing to me, close relation, best buddies, or something that is continuously, persistently, reliably the same. And all these 3 meanings are also, we probably would agree, meanings of the same sign. So here we are dealing with polysemy. There's another sign that I want to introduce. Just one movement, which means finished or done, or already, early, or it has been decided. Only this and nothing more. So all these senses are also related, and we would probably all agree that this is polysemy too. Now it gets more complicated. If you look at the other, now we looked at the different forms, different meanings for one form. Now we look at the different forms for one meaning. So if you look at government agency, you don't only find this sign, you also find this sign and this sign. If you look at finish, done, you don't only find this sign, but you also find this variant and this variant. So do we have 2 entries, 3 entries, or 1 entry? We have to decide that. And then if you look at the habit thing, you don't only find this sign, you also find this sign, this variant, and also this variant. So it gets complicated, as you can tell. They all look similar. So here we would probably agree phonological variance. If you just look at one dimension of this problem, it's no problem. It's really easy to decide. But then if you look at both directions, so different variants for the same meaning and different meanings and different meanings for the same form and different forms for the same meaning, then it gets really, really complicated. The little X's show where we find signs, and now you have to decide how to cut that up into entries for the dictionary work. It gets a little bit easier if you see the token numbers. So how many tokens do I find here? That helps to distinguish which form is the prominent one, the main one that should probably be used as a citation form for the entries. And we have some criteria. So you either give every form its own entry, but then you get the connection between the different variants gets lost, or you give all meanings its own entry. That doesn't work either, because not always is the meaning, the actual sense very clear. Sometimes you have both or 3 senses that overlap. So it's really, really difficult, and you need a number of criteria that you can use to decide 1 or 2 entries for the sign. So range of meanings, overlapping meanings, meanings related through semantics, iconicity of the sign or mouthing. Then you look at the range of forms. Which set of variants do you find? You look, do they have a different focus of meaning of the main sense? So they may have overlapping forms, but the focus is different in the form, or they have overlapping meanings, but the focus of the main meaning is different. You can look at grammatical behavior, if it's different or not, and you can look at the regionality of use. So we decided for 3 entries here, and I speed up a little bit. That's what we came up with. And I only mentioned few senses. There are some more. So second thing that is important in our dictionary work, and I can scratch only the surface here, is word sense discrimination. We look at this at the type and the subtypes. The subtypes give some indication of the meaning. And then we can look at the frequent neighbors. They also give some indication of meaning, because they are kind of condensed examples of sign use. And then we look at the actual tokens and the movies of the tokens. We paraphrase the contextual meaning, and then we see, okay, something seems to be stable and reappears and reoccurs over and over again. So we kind of decide this is going to be a sense that I can describe in the dictionary. This is how our working tool, the FileMaker database, looks like, where we enter the information in. And then there's some additional steps, and I come to the very end now. We select variants and the citation forms, write the definition, find German equivalents, look at the regional distribution to draw the maps if it's interesting enough, write comments, find synonyms and antonyms, select and prepare the examples for the corpus, look at the collocations to select and prepare the collocation entries or the loan translation entries. Then we have to make the studio recordings for the single signs. And finally, the dictionary is produced. So, and the highlights I want to stress for our dictionary are that it's corpus-based, that the examples are taken directly from the corpus, that it includes collocations and multi-word expressions or multi-sign expressions, which we could not do without the corpus. We include synonyms and antonyms, and we can draw distributional maps and give them, which are very, very welcome for the deaf users. And that completes my talk. Thank you. So I'm really interested in your questions now and in the discussion. Thank you very much for your attention. Any questions?
So we would like to thank you a lot, Gabriela, for this amazing lecture. And now we have some remaining time for questions, maybe 2 or 3 questions from the audience or the chat. It seems like we have a question here. I'm going to get it. Just 1 second. I'm sorry, but it's another. So every country has their own sign languages. Like, so for example, regarding to the numbers, is there anything about the hand configurations in the dictionary used for numbers that you could tell us, maybe?
Yes, we have entries for numbers in the dictionary, and there's a lot variation in the numbers. So 1 to 10 is pretty easy. We have a variation for 1 and 2 and 2, but other than that, it's pretty straightforward from 1 to 10. So we use 10 fingers for 10. But then for the 15s, and there are lots of variation there. So different movements. So we have some flapping movement and some different, I think 3 or 4 different regional variants there that are used. So for hand shapes, not so much, but movements, lots of movements. Does that answer your question?
So another question is regarding to this annotation process. Like iLex, the software, is it used worldwide? I don't know how it is in Germany, for example, but when you invite a deaf person to participate in the project, is there the ethical requirements they pass through? You need authorization for them. How does it work within the DGS project?
Yeah. For annotation, annotation is only done by the student assistants, and they get some training, and they are hearing and deaf student assistants that work there. So the hearing student assistants, they study sign language, and they get training how to use the program. The iLex program has been made in Hamburg, has been programmed there, and is also supported there. There are other research groups that use it. For example, the Polish dictionary and corpus project also used it. and other people do too. But you need a server and someone who can administer the program, because it's a multi-user program. So everybody can enter in it that has access to it. Of course, the access is restricted to the researchers and the annotators. So the involvement of the deaf community is not so much the annotation part. Of course, the deaf colleagues are involved there, but the participation of deaf people outside the real project team, we had 10, a focus group of 10 people that were advising us, where we could ask questions also about science that we may not understand because they're regional science or something. So it's not that everybody can join and transcribe right there. Of course, everybody can use the corpus and use the transcription that is there and use it. You can download it, if that's the question. You can download it. We have ELAN files, and we have ILEX and other formats. So you can download the movies and the basic transcription, and then you can continue transcribing whatever you like in that thing. So you don't need to use ILEX to use the corpus. You can also look at the transcript online, or you can download it into ELAN and then open it with ELAN. So there are different ways to use the corpus.
So there are two more questions. What benefits will this dictionary bring to the deaf and hearing communities? So this is the question.
So, okay, like every dictionary project, it brings. First, you have language documentation, which is a worth in itself, I think, but it also makes the public aware that this language exists and that it is there. So this is the more political thing. You see, okay, everything we find in other dictionaries, we find in sign language dictionaries also, plus something special, something different, because we don't have a writing there. We have written information, but there's no writing for sign language in our dictionary. So people are really interested. But in the electronic age, it's not so much a problem. It's a problem for us, but it's not a problem for the user so much. And then, of course, the learners will profit from it. But the signers also, because they can see their language documented. And also, if you look at these distribution maps, there is knowledge there that there are variants, regional variants. But to look at a map and see, okay, this area has this variant and this area has this variant, and there they use this sign. This is really a fun thing for deaf people too. And also they can look at their sign, and then they can look at the different German translations of the sign and the different meanings. And they can use also the dictionary in that direction to maybe improve their German. I don't know. So there are many ways to use the dictionary. I think everybody can profit from it. Of course, it looks a little complicated at the beginning, but that is just because there's so much different information there, and so such a wealth of information that you have to dig in a little.
So one last question. Remember that last week we presented together with Patricia Tusci and also Joyce, right? We were presenting here at the University of Hamburg, and we were discussing things about academic science. I would like to know, so for example, in this project of the dictionary, right, of the DGS within the corpus, so of course, it's a corpus that comes from the deaf community. But regarding to science, for example, from the areas of psychology or science from the area of science, so how is it addressed in the dictionary of DGS?
We only show signs that are in the corpus. If people talk about their health, their experience with a psychologist, then there might be a sign in there for psychologist or something. If we have enough evidence for that sign, so more than one person talking about that and using that sign, if it gets over a certain threshold, it will be included. If not, it's not there. So we are not looking at a word list or at a list of concepts that we want to include in the dictionary. We go the other way. We look at the corpus, and what's there we present. So of course the dictionary will not be, or is not, as any dictionary is not, complete. It's a start, and it's a way to explore the language from the data that we have. This might be not very satisfying to people that look at one specific thing and don't find it in there. But on the other hand, it ensures that we have some degree of quality there that goes beyond just the introspection of one or two persons. So it's a different way to look at the language. And there are other dictionaries out there that do it the other way around, that they are important too and helpful too. But the way we do it is that we think that we should come from the data. And if there's no data, there's no entry.
Yeah, of course, it's very important, your lecture today, because sometimes we don't know how to organize the sign a dictionary, and that we have to start with a corpus. So there are a lot of dictionaries and groups in Brazil creating dictionaries with different purposes, like dictionaries that are oriented to hearing people who want to learn sign language. But I think the way you work in the handbook, the main objective is to give a real idea about the meanings of the signs that are corpus-based, right? So that's why we benefit a lot from your lecture today. So we want to finish. Thank you, Gabrielle, for this very relevant information that you brought to us today. Thank all the interpreters that worked here today in the session. And now I want to pass the word for Saulo. He's going to say some final words. Can you put Gabrielle back again in the screen? So we from the ILEX group, we are very thank you for this knowledge, this very profound knowledge that you brought us today, right? We are really thankful for what you brought to us today, right? It gave us a very important basis, based on your experience and also on the theoretical references that you brought to us. So we hope that in the future we can keep contacting with the group, right, for we to share more experiences and information about how constructing dictionaries. So once again, I want to thank the interpreters of international signs, people who are doing here from the spoken English into signs. We know it's a tough task. And I also would like to thank all the audience. And we are going to spread the news about the coming events that we are going to do in the future, right? So, and we want to increase the number of talks about lexicography in Brazil. So we are ending this session today. Thank you, everyone. You can also follow us on the Instagram. We have our website. You can see the address down here. So follow us and keep tuned for the next event. So one hug for everyone and a good Thursday for everyone. Thank you.